The biggest day of the year for Kingdom Death Monster is approaching, and I am bringing you your official 2023 Kingdom Death Monster buying guide for Black Friday. Listen, Black Friday's in like a week. It's going to be a big event for Kingdom Death. I mean, this is the year that they released the Gambler's Chest. That means there's a lot of content coming out. There's a lot of content that has already came out. There's going to be a lot of stuff available. I have a list printed out from BGG of all of the current gameplay-related releases that exist in the ether. I've got examples to show you, some stuff to hold up. We're going to talk about it all, from the core game all the way through to the Gambler's Chest, the white boxes, the Echoes of Death, everything that's came out, and help you determine what you do need, what you don't need, and where you should be spending your hard-earned money this Black Friday. Because Black Friday is where you get the best deal, you have new things that get released, and you have old things that come back into stock. We have no idea what will be available this Black Friday. We don't know what's going to be on sale, discounted, ready for pre-order, but we have a sense of what's been released before. We have a sense of what already exists. So let's talk about this. All right. Kingdom Death 1.6. Fully upgraded. If you don't own Kingdom Death already, you'll get probably a $25 or $50 discount. That's what they usually have. The price a few years ago did go up, and so it's going to maintain that higher price, but you're going to get a little bit of a break on Kingdom Death core box for this Black Friday. If you're one of those fans out there that's waiting to get the game, if you are, please leave a comment down below. Let me know that you're buying the game because of the videos that we're making here, that we're helping inform and tell you how to, guide your money and your profits. I'm going to grab my bourbon here for a second. This video, by the way, is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, but it does help us to know that we're giving you valuable information, and your comment, your like, your subscribe does wonders to help this channel continue to grow and continue to cover Kingdom Death. Okay, 1.6. 1.6 is going to be the most recent, most up-to-date core game of Kingdom Death. Do I think you should get anything else if you're already buying 1.6? Well, if you're stupid wealthy and not in debt at all, and you have so much time on your hands that you're comfortable playing everything, then yeah, order it all. Buy everything that's available. But if you're a reasonable human that has a limited amount of time, and you're just getting into the Kingdom Death world or the Kingdom Death hobby, there is a realistic argument right now, and this has never been the case before, to not get any expansions, don't get anything other 1.6, and potentially the Gambler's Chest. I'll talk about why that is. But the Gambler's Chest adds in core substantial changes to the Kingdom Death system that I think I'm always going to include from this point going forward. It only enhances the game. It only makes the game better. It gives you more quarries to fight, gives you more creatures to hunt, helps you add variety to your game without having to incorporate piecemeal expansions here and there. It is a hefty price tag. You're looking at probably $400 for both, right? So you're looking at $800, maybe $700 if you want to go all in core game and Gambler's Chest. But the Gambler's Chest is going to add in a few very important things, philosophies, and your what are they called? Your survivors, your Atlas survivors, whatever they're called. Your philosophy system is a learning and growth system in Kingdom Death that takes the randomness of fighting art and disorders out of the game. I really like the philosophy system. Your more legacy, your aged survivors add more complexity and nuance into how you play and structure. It also adds, I think, a little bit more emphasis on the story and the personal narrative of each one of your characters, and I really like that. The scout system adds more critical gameplay choices, adds logical narrative story to the course of the game, and for me, I really like how it incorporates scout-specific gear, giving you the opportunity to harvest more resources, have tactical choices between pushing your luck to get that final hit versus backing off and making sure the settlement as a whole survives. Adds a lot of very interesting gameplay and narrative choice. Outside of that, the campaign's very cool. The creatures that you fight are very interesting. You're able to sub these quarries out even in the core game. So I would argue, hear me out, I would argue that if you're a household where you're going to have at least two people playing Kingdom Death, learning it from the ground zero and up, you start with Kingdom Death and the Gambler's Chest. If you're a solo player, if you're probably not going to be incorporating other people into your initial or your main Kingdom Death experience, start with the core box alone. The Gambler's Chest is going to be overwhelming. It's going to be too much to learn in one fell swoop. But if you got two people to learn, two people to help balance the rules, and you're willing to approach it, you're willing to be patient with it, I think the way that you start into this hobby space is with those two big black boxes. I think that's the ground floor for me. I really like what they've done. We went back just recently and played through nearly an entire core game in about a week without any of the added stuff mixed into it. And the stuff I've been doing with the Gambler's Chest, it's just that much more immersive. Okay, moving on down. We have the original expansions, and I have them all here. So we have the Dragon King, we have the Lonely Tree. I was going to hold these up and show you artwork and stuff like that, but I think that's a little complicated. So, and there's going to be cut in the video real quick because I got a cough. Sorry about that. I'm still getting over a cold from last week, so hence the little bit of whiskey and the slight tickle in my throat. Okay, original expansions. We've talked about this before. I'm going to go through them quickly. All right, Dragon King. Dragon King's a quarry. It adds People of the Stars campaign. That is an important thing to take note of. If you're going to be looking at the original 12 expansions, you're really going to narrow it down. If you're not buying them all, you're going to narrow it down to what can add more interest to your games, meaning you're mixing up the core game with quarries or nemesis that come in and you kind of build your own narrative around them, or you're buying so that you can play another core system, another core story. Dragon King is going to be adding one of those core stories, People of the Stars. It's worth paying attention to. Along with that, the Sunstalker is going to be adding People of the Sun campaign. So the first two expansions you should pay attention to, well, the first three expansions you should pay attention to are the Gorm, who is a early game quarry, the Dragon King for the People of the Stars campaign, and the Sunstalker for the People of the Sun campaign. If you are not getting the Gambler's Chest, or you have none of the expansions right now, those are the first three I would look at. The Gorm replaces, or has the potential to replace, the White Lion. It's very important, because you're going to be playing a lot of level 1 early intro quarries as you play Kingdom Death more and more, and you might already, even though, forbid, you might already be getting tired of the White Lion at this point. Dung Beetle Knight is a quarry. It's an interesting fight. Big swinging ball, moving around the table. Very cool model to build and paint as well. Adds a lot of depth, a lot of variety. I don't know how often you're going to be incorporating into your game if you're not playing through a big campaign often. So that's something to keep in mind. A lot of these expansions are very specific to when you'd encounter them. This is going to be more of a mid-game encounter. The Flower Knight is a beautiful creature with a lot of lore. There's going to be more lore incorporated as the game goes on, as we see future expansions show up. I like the Flower Knight a lot. It is essential to build some really cool gear and weapons. I think this is one you get if you think it's pretty and you want to mix it in. You want to mix it. It's a nemesis that shows up, or it's a quarry that shows up, not a nemesis. Gorm, early quarry. Again, ugly model in my opinion, personally, but it really does change the game quite a bit when you have something to replace the White Lion. The next to that is going to be Spediculus. That's an early quarry as well, and that replaces the Antelope. So if you're annoyed with either one of those, or if you want something to sub out some of those narratives, that's where we go. Lion God is going to be a late game quarry. It's going to be a mid to late game. You're not going to run across it too often. The Lion Knight, very cool creature to fight and hunt. I don't know that he would be my first pick, honestly, if I was going to look into getting expansions to mix in here. The Lonely Tree is interesting. It's one of those random events that you can encounter, that you have to fight. It's kind of boring, but at the same time very different from any other quarries you come across, and adds a little bit of change to your game. Probably the second to last expansion, though, that I would recommend from the core 12. Manhunter is very neat. Very cool story that comes into your game. Very fun fight. Adds in pistols, which is something different for a game like Kingdom Death. If you want to replace some of your nemesis, the Manhunter and Slenderman are going to be your two options from this original, and both of them add so much depth and narrative to the game. I really like them, and they really do change up your experience. Spidiculous, we already said, replaces the Antelope, and Sunstalker is going to be Quarry People of the Sun campaign. So, my priority, if I'm looking at where I'm spending my money, I'm starting with Gorm, then I'm going to the Dragon King and Sunstalker. Mix up your campaigns, give you some flexibility. After that, I think I'm moving to Spidiculous with the one caveat that it's an annoying model to build and play with. Big, spidely legs. You got to figure out how you want to mount it. Then I think I'm buying Manhunter, Slenderman, Flower Knight, Dung Beetle. Then we're moving on to Lion Knight, Lion God. Finally, at the very back of this, Lonely Tree. And then last, the Green Knight armor, because it's so conditional, you're probably not going to build it. If you order a big case of 12, you get everything, sell some of them off, keep them, whatever you want to do. This is for the people that are going to be piecemealing and deciding what they actually want to buy. Moving down, like I said, Gambler's Chest. If you own Kingdom Death now, should you get the Gambler's Chest? There's a ton of value in it. There's a ton of depth and complexity they're adding on. So here would be my thing for someone that already owns Kingdom Death. 1, are you getting bored of your original core game? If so, Gambler's Chest is a no-brainer expansion. It's going to rejuvenate almost every aspect of the game for you. If you loved it originally, you just played it a little bit too much. Are you really good at the rules? Do you love the nuance of choice between narrative structures and tactical decisions? Gambler's Chest is going to enhance that as well. It's very complex, though. If you're overwhelmed by Kingdom Death and overwhelmed by the amount of rules you have, Gambler's Chest might take it a step too far. I know I probably could not play with the full Gambler's Chest a solo game. I think it's way too much for me to handle. 2 players, Shira and I, we can run the game together. I can run core Kingdom Death on my own by myself. Gambler's Chest is going to be a little bit too heavy for me. So, keep that in mind. As we move down here, we're now going to start getting to the extra stuff we have. What are the other things we could expect from a Black Friday Kingdom Death sale? Collectible models, white boxes, Echoes of Death, Pinups of Death, dice, t-shirts, pre-orders, and vignettes. Okay, we'll cover that whole segment now. Let's start with pre-orders. Should you pre-order future stuff? Here's the question. Do you love Kingdom Death? Are you going into debt to do it? If you're going into debt to do it, don't do it. Save your money. That's true for any of this. If you have the money and you love Kingdom Death, we've seen Adam deliver on the Gambler's Chest, and we've seen the price go from $50 all the way up to the $300 plus it is now. Keep that in mind. Wave 4 is going to start subdividing into multiple shipments. So you will be buying into a little bit of an expedited shipping cost. However, this will still be your best chance to get the best price possible for future Wave 4 content and get it as early as you're able to at this point. If you're new to Kingdom Death and you've got the money to do it, jumping into future content is a surefire. It's a guarantee. You're going to be getting your stuff down the road. The fact that the Gambler's Chest has now delivered and they're working on the next stage of deliveries, that's big. That means Kingdom Death is moving from an era of delays, an era of COVID, an era of shipping crisis, an era of lots of little expansions, to an era where we're going to start seeing every year, every couple of years, some big new update to our game as they fulfill the rest of that campaign. If you want to be involved in that, now is the best time. Now is the best time. The Kickstarter was the best time before, but it's too late for that. Prices are only going to increase as we continue moving forward. Okay, talking about the other stuff you're going to see. Let's start with the vignettes. I know that there's one more vignette that's floating around the corners. There is a Butcher vignette that might show up. I don't know that it's going to hit this Black Friday. I don't expect it to hit this Black Friday. They've been doing a lot of work on other things that they've been developing, of getting everything arranged, everything good. I think it's probably going to be a little bit of a later release. However, your Giga-lion is going to be available. This is a standalone scenario. It does incorporate as an additional type of quarry, an additional type of white lion to hunt. I like these a lot. They're a really good one-shot for Kingdom Death. They're a lot of fun to play. They're a nice puzzle to solve. They add a little bit of difference into the game. They give you a really cool model to build, and they usually come with some cards or other things that are worth incorporating. For us, we always include the Giga-lion. We've beat it on the one solo shot outside. You can watch that video here on Quackalope. It's called Riding the Giga Train, I believe. And now in our campaigns, this is just one of the various things that we can hunt. And we enjoy having it mixed in. So, does it come before the Dragon King, the Sunstalker? I don't think so. But I think it comes right after them. I would go Gorm, Dragon King, Sunstalker, Giga-lion, I think, in my opinion. So, keep that in mind as you keep stretching. Next, the other stuff we have. We're going to have pinups. We're going to have echoes. These are going to be the mid-size white boxes. Echoes of Death and Pinups of Death are very different. The pinups are more of the centralized posing model figures. They do come with a little bit of gameplay content, but a lot of the promo gameplay content or the extra gameplay content is, I want to say it's experience capped. You need to be playing a lot of Kingdom Death to get much value out of most of the stuff you're getting in these white boxes. Echoes of Death, though, add in a very important system into core Kingdom Death. They add in a strain system. Strain system are objectives, kind of a legacy style experience that you can accomplish while you play the game. If I was going to recommend any of the white boxes, right, from small white boxes like Percival here, all the way up to these big white boxes like the pinups and like the Echoes of Death, I think the Echoes of Death is where I start. There's currently 4 of them out. I'd love to see a 5th one. That'd be one of the things I'd be the most excited to see. The strain system is something that you can incorporate into every game you play. You accomplish the objective. You meet the requirements. You unlock some gear. You unlock a pattern. You get a new build. Something goes into your game. It changes the entire world of your play. For us, we have them sleeved. We add a sticker to the top of that card. Now, every game from that point on carries that legacy with it. Our core box has changed because of the strain system. I really like that system, and the Echoes of Death is where that is brought into Kingdom Death as a whole. They also have cool models and changes some of the stuff. Gives you some really cool poses for hero builds that you can make. Okay, Pinups of Death. Again, more centralized, more focused on models over gameplay content. There's really none of those that I would heavily recommend. If you like them, you'll like them. The gameplay, you're not missing out on a lot. If you choose to get them, you choose not to get them. There's cool stuff in there. You look and pick and choose a little bit. Each one, all the way like 1 through 6 or 1 through 5, they each have something a little bit different in terms of what they mix into your game. I haven't found any of it to be essential. White boxes. I know some years they've had white box packages. They're like $650 or so for all of the current release small box white boxes. Each of these are going to be a model, and they're going to be a little bit of gameplay content. A card, a rules update, a sticker that you mix into your book. Some of them are valuable. Most of them are non-essential. I'll read through this list in just a bit, but really, if you have the money for it and you already have all the other expansions, the white boxes are nice to get. If you like model building, the white boxes are nice to get. Don't feel pressured to go pick up white boxes just because you don't own everything for the game yet. They're almost always going to be available. They're always going to come back into stock. They're going to come back into rotation. And they're not essential. I really rarely use most of the stuff coming from these little boxes. We have it there. We mixed it in. We can build the gear. But I'm going to be honest. A lot of the gear in the core game or the expansion content gear, like the Gambler's Chest gear, there's better picks than the stuff we're getting from a lot of these white boxes anyway. So they're fun. They give you different pathways, more variety to choose from, but they don't change the way I typically play the game. Other things you might find. You might have brown boxes. Brown boxes are typically going to be resin with some artwork. Now, some of them are releasing promo, square cut promo content, beta content. If you're not an experienced Kingdom Death player at this point, do not buy a brown box just for the beta content. I love the beta content. I really want all of it. I'm not buying all of it. I don't have that kind of money. I wish I did, though. However, it really won't impact your campaign if you do or don't have. And because it's prototype and because it's being tested out, it's just a hint as to what is coming. And it's not official, right? It's still in beta form. So if you want to turn your campaign, which could be a 50-hour campaign, into a playtest of content that may or may not be balanced, be my guest. For me, it feels a little risky. Resin is more fragile and more detailed. So if you like the models, pick it up. If you want the collector's card, pick it up. But don't rush after these thinking that there's something gameplay essential to them. Really, Resin models you shouldn't even be playing the game with because they're so fragile. After you build and paint them, there's a chance you'll break them. You should be playing with plastic basically all the time. Okay. They may have big models like busts. Again, these are going to be things that you pick up if you want that model. Not if you want to mix it into the game. And we're mostly focused on gameplay content. They do have some holiday stuff. Again, the holiday stuff is interesting and fun, but I've not found any of them that I would insist on incorporating into the game if you didn't already have everything else. And then you might have some t-shirts and some dice. I really like the dice. I think Kingdom Death makes some of the most beautiful dice in the industry. And honestly, if they have some cool Black Friday dice, like the jet black ones, pick them up. Or the grayed out ones, pick them up. I love when they have new dice come out. I might have a problem, but I think it really does change the gameplay experience. And I love having piles of dice around for everyone to grab from, play, put in a jail if they're doing bad for you, etc., etc. Okay. While my throat starts to disappear, let's take a look here of stuff that we might see. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm looking through this and I'm like, man, there's a ton of stuff. So some of the things you want to be paying attention to, you have seed pattern cards. These are going to be things that you can build during the game. You have strain cards from the ecosystem. These are the legacy elements that mix into the game. You have gear cards. These are going to be things that you can craft and create or discover. You're going to have settlement events. These are going to be things that while you play the game, you mix these in. Some of them are balanced, some of them are not. Like the winter story in the snow can be wildly unbalanced. The chastity belt one that changes your gender is kind of just a weird, fun, quirky thing. It does take out or lessen the negative consequences of the deck as a whole. Looking through all of the small card stuff, I like them all. I have them all mixed into my game. I don't think there's any of the small box things that I would recommend getting before Echoes of Death. And then after Echoes of Death, I think for me it's going to come down to characters that you think are cool. And it's going to come down to things like strain cards, patterns, and story cards. The white speaker is important because it mixes in a sticker that goes into your book that allows you to buy some things. That's always valuable. And yeah, I don't think there's much else that I would say you should be worried about missing out on. Of course, buy everything that you can. Yeah, why not? But that's my general take. That's my breakdown. That's your preparation for 2023 Black Friday. Let me know. Hopefully this was helpful and interesting. Let me know what you end up picking up. I will be sitting there next to the computer just like you, trying desperately to not spend money. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Whatever the case, though, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Play some Kingdom Death. Don't just buy the stuff. Play it. It's an amazing game. We'll see you next time.